All right, now we're recording.
Um, like I said, chapter 9, the skin structure disorders and diseases. In this chapter, we're going to be talking about different things of the skin, the fluids, the nerves, glands, elasticity, and then different disorders and diseases of the skin. In this chapter, it's going to give you descriptions about acne and rosacea, all kinds of different things. But like I said, if y'all will turn with me to page 222, under LO1 and LO2, know the anatomy of the skin, and we will begin there. Okay. Healthy skin is slightly moist, soft, and flexible with a smooth, fine-grained texture. The slightly acidic pH of healthy skin provides a protective barrier against organisms that touch or try to enter it. Ideally, the skin should be free of blemishes and other disorders and have the ability to renew itself. Skin varies in thickness over different parts of the body. It is thinnest on the eyelids and thickest on the palms of the hands and soles of the feet. Continued pressure over any part of the skin can cause it to thicken and become calloused. A callus is part of the body's natural defense system and should not be removed, as it will generally return thicker and harder. The skin of the scalp is constructed similar to the skin elsewhere on the human body, but the scalp is larger and deeper hair follicles to accommodate the longer hair on the head. The appendages of the skin are hair, nails, sweat glands, and oil glands. The skin is constructed of two clearly defined divisions, the epidermis and the dermis. The epidermis, also known as cuticle of scarf skin, is the outermost protective layer of the skin and is the thinnest layer of skin. The epidermis contains no blood vessels, but has many small nerve endings. The layers or strata of the epidermis are as follows. The stratum corneum, or horny layer, is the outer layer of the epidermis. This is the layer we see when we look at someone. It consists of tightly packed scale-like cells that are continually shed and replaced by cells coming to the surface from the underlying layers. These cells are made up of fibrous protein called keratin, which combines with a thin layer of oil to help make the stratum corneum a protective waterproof layer. The stratum luceum, or clear layer, lies beneath the stratum corneum and consists of small transparent cells through which light can pass. The stratum granulosum, or granular layer consists of cells that look like distinct granules and are filled with keratin. These cells are almost dead and are pushed to the surface to replace cells that are shed from the stratum corneum. The stratum spinosum, or spiny layer, often classified as part of the germinativum, or is a sublayer that lies above the basal strata and beneath the stratum granulosum. The process that causes skin cells to shed begins in this layer. Let me make sure I say this right. The stratum germinativum, stratum germinativum, also known as the Balpigfin or basal cell layer, is the deepest layer of the epidermis. This layer is responsible for the growth of the epidermis. It also contains melanocytes, which produce a dark pigment called melanin, which protects the sensitive cells below the destructive effects of excessive exposure to ultraviolet light. The dermis is the underlying or inner layer of the skin. It is also called the derma, corium, cutis, or true skin. The dermis is about 20 times thicker than the epidermis and consists of a highly sensitive vascular layer of connective tissue. Within its structure are numerous blood vessels, nerve, lymph, and oil glands, hair follicles, erector pili muscles, and papillae, The dermis consists of two layers, the papillary or superficial layer and the reticular layer or deeper layer. The papillary layer lies directly beneath the stratum germinativum of the epidermis. It contains small cone-shaped projections of elastic tissue called papillae that point upward into the epidermis. Some of these papillae contain looped capillaries, which are small blood vessels. Others contain small structures called tactile corpuscles with nerve and fiber endings that are sensitive to touch and pressure. This layer also contains some melanin, which is skin pigment. The space at the top of this layer is the epidermal junction where the two layers meet. The reticular layer is the deepest layer of the dermis, which supplies the skin with oxygen and nutrients. The reticular layer contains the following structures within its network: fat cells, sweat glands, blood vessels, hair follicles, lymph glands, erector pili muscles, oil glands. Subcutaneous tissue, also known as adipose tissue, is the layer of fatty tissue found below the dermis. Subcutaneous tissue varies in thickness according to age, gender, and general health. It gives smoothness and contour to the body, contains fats for use as energy, and also acts as protective cushion for the outer skin. Fluids of the skin, blood and lymph supply nourishment to the skin in the form of protein, carbohydrates, and fat. From 1/2 to 2/3 of the body's blood supply is distributed to the skin. As the blood and lymph circulate through the skin, they deliver essential materials for the growth, nourishment, and repair of the skin, hair, and nails. Networks of arteries and lymphatics in the subcutaneous tissue send their smaller branches to hair papillae, hair follicles, and skin glands. Nerves of the skin. The skin contains surface endings of many nerve fibers, which are classified as follows. Motor nerve fibers are distributed to the erector pili muscles attached to the hair follicles. These fibers carry impulses from the brain to control muscle movement. Sensory nerve fibers react to heat, cold, touch, pressure, and pain. These receptors send messages to the brain. Secretory nerve fibers are distributed to the sweat and oil glands of the skin. Secretory nerves regulate the excretion and perspiration from the sweat glands and the flow of sebum from the oil glands to the surface of the skin. Sense of touch. The papillary layer of the dermis houses the nerve endings that provide the body with the sense of touch. These nerve endings register basic sensations such as touch, pain, heat, cold, pressure, or deep touch. Nerve endings are most abundant in the fingertips. Complex sensations such as vibrations seem to depend on the sensitivity of a combination of these nerve endings. The color of the skin, whether fair or dark, depends on genetics and melanin. Melanin, however, is the primary source of skin color. These grains of pigment are deposited in the stratum germinativum of the epidermis and the papillary layer of the dermis. Special cells called melanocytes produce the pigment granules that are scattered throughout the germinativum and papillary layers. These granules are called melanosomes, and they produce the complex protein called melanin, a brown-black pigment that gives skin color and serves as the skin's protective screen from the sun's rays. The amount and type of melanin is an inherited trait that varies among races and individuals. For example, dark skin contains more melanin than light skin. Skin elasticity. The skin gets its strength, form, and flexibility from protein fibers within the dermis called collagen or elastin. Collagen fibers make up a large portion of the dermis and help to give support to the many structures found in this layer. When collagen fibers become weakened, wrinkles and sagging of the skin can occur. Elastin gives the skin its elasticity and flexibility and the ability to regain its shape after stretching. When healthy skin expands, it regains its former shape almost immediately. Conversely, one of the most prominent characteristics of aged skin is the loss of elasticity. Glands of the skin. The skin contains two types of duct glands: the sudoriferous glands or sweat glands, the sebaceous glands or oil glands, which extract material from the blood to form new substances. Sudoriferous glands or sweat glands consist of a coiled base called fundus and a tube-like duct that terminates at the skin surface to form the sweat report. Practically all parts of the body are supplied with sweat glands, although they are numerous on the palms, soles, forehead, and armpits. The nervous system controls the activity of sweat glands, which regulate body temperature and help to eliminate waste products, salt, and other chemicals from the body. Regulation of body temperature occurs when the evaporation of moisture from the sweat on the skin cools the body. Heat, exercise, emotion, and certain drugs influence sweat gland activity. Sebaceous oil glands. The sebaceous or oil glands of the skin are connected to the hair follicles. These glands consist of little sacs with ducts that open into the hair follicle, where they secrete sebum, which lubricates the skin and preserves the softness of the hair. With the exception of the palms and soles, these glands are found in all parts of the body, particularly the face and scalp. Sebum is a semifluid, oily substance produced by the oil glands that flows through the oil ducts leading to the mouths of the hair follicles. When the sebum becomes hardened and the duct becomes blocked, a blackhead is formed. The primary function of a sebum is to act as a shield that prevents moisture from evaporating from the skin. Absorption level of the skin. Although the skin serves as a protective barrier against microorganisms and chemical absorption, some topical products and creams are designed to penetrate this barrier for medicinal purposes. Limited absorption occurs through the skin cells and hair follicles, sebaceous glands, and sudoriferous glands, and allow the entry of specialized drugs or chemical into the body. For example, antiseptics may be used to reduce the risk of skin infections on vitamin creams used to support skin repair. The amount or level of absorption that takes place is dependent upon the thickness and location of the skin on the body, the concentration of the product, and the frequency of the application. Functions of the skin. The principal functions of the skin are protection, sensation, heat regulation, absorption, excretion, and secretion. Protection. The skin protects the body from injury and a multitude of pathogens. The outermost layer of the epidermis is covered with a thin layer of sebum, which renders it waterproof. The skin is resistant to variations in temperature, minor injuries, some chemical substances, and many potential pathogens. The skin also provides protection for internal organs, arteries, veins, and bones. Sensation. The skin responds to heat, cold, touch, pressure, pain, and blood through its sensory nerve endings. Stimulation of a sensory nerve ending sends a message to the brain, which then stimulates a response. When you scratch and itch or pull away from a hot object, you are responding to the stimulation of sensory nerve endings and the message that they convey to the brain. Some of the sensory nerve endings responsive to touch and pressure lie in close relation to hair follicles. Okay. I was on heat regulations. If I can find it.
229.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find where it was.
The second one.
Okay, yeah, heat regulation is a function of the skin that protects the body from the environment. A healthy body maintains a constant internal temperature of about 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, 37 degrees Celsius. As changes occur in the outside temperature, the blood and sweat glands of the skin make necessary adjustments to facilitate the cooling of the body. Processes such as the evaporation of sweat to cool the body or the closing of pores to retain heat are examples of this adjustment and are regulated by the hypothalamus of the brain. Absorption beyond the top layer of the skin is limited, but does occur. Some medications are designed to enter the body through the skin, where they are slowly absorbed and dispersed. Products designed for skincare are not intended to be absorbed beyond the top layer of skin. Excretion. Preparation is excreted from the skin. Water lost by perspiration carries salt and other chemicals with it. Humans perspire 1 to 2 pints daily. Perspiration is made up of water, salt, and chemicals. Secretion. Sebum is secreted by the sebaceous glands and lubricates the skin and hair, keeping them soft and pliable. Sebum secretion is affected by hormones and emotional stress, which may increase the flow of sebum. So, are there any questions so far? Okay, moving right along. Identify disorders and diseases of the skin. Although barbers are not licensed to perform treatments for medical condition, providing facials and shaves are traditional services well within the barber's scope of expertise. This includes addressing certain skin conditions such as oily or dry skin, or alleviating minor acne conditions. Before proceeding with services, barbers need to be able to recognize different types of disorders to determine those that might be aggravated by facials or shaving, or those that may need medical attention prior to receiving services. Some skin and scalp disorders may be treated in cooperation with or under the supervision of a physician or dermatologist. If asked to apply a medicine to the scalp, you must apply the medicine as directed by the physician, and the treatment should not extend beyond the number of applications or date indicated. To protect both the barber and client, the client should provide the barber with a copy of prescription directions. If a client has a skin or scalp condition you do not recognize, refer the client to a physician. Lesions of the skin. A lesion is a mark on the skin that may indicate an injury or damage that changes the structure of tissues or organs. A lesion can be as simple as a freckle or as dangerous as skin cancer. Lesions can indicate skin disorders or diseases and may be symptomatic of other internal diseases. Being familiar with the principal skin lesions will help you distinguish between conditions that may be compatible with services and those that need to be referred to a physician prior to the provision of services. Primary skin lesions are lesions that are different or a different color than the color of the skin, or lesions that are raised above the surface of the skin. They are often differentiated by size and layers of skin affected. Such lesions may require medical referral. Refer to Table 9.1 for a description of primary lesions and examples of each. Secondary skin lesions are characterized by an accumulation of material on the skin surface, such as crust or scab, or by depressions in the skin surface, such as an ulcer. Refer to Table 9.2 for a description of secondary lesions and examples of each. Now, up under this, 9.1 and 9.2, like y'all can see the different types of skin lesions and different things here in these pictures. Some of them are pretty gruesome looking, but I'm sure that we all have seen those type of things. And flipping over to the next page, you can see where 9.2 starts, and it shows some more things that, you know, like I said again, that we have all seen. Some of them can be pretty gruesome if you see them. And, you know, when you work in a barbershop, you will see these things in your clients' heads. You're going to see keloids, you're going to see crust, you're going to see all types of things in your clients' heads. Some of them are going to gross you out. Some of them are going to look very nasty. And
so at that point, do we stop the cut?
no. I mean, if they have like a bump in their hair or a scar or keloids, you still have to cut their hair.
Well, yeah, that.
You
I
just
mean,
cut around it?
No,
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean, like,
What about a scale? No, I don't.
what's it called?
You're gonna see scale too.
Like pustules, tumors, things like that.
Yes, you're gonna see that.
Have you ever seen one?
Yes.
I could have.
Everything on this page, myself and Mr. Florida, we've seen.
I done seen an ulcer before. It feels like it's about to pop. They is not getting in my chest.
Huh?
If it look decent, they might. If it's about to pop in,
Yes.
some
of this stuff only like come on feet,
Like,
like.
Then you stop what you're doing, you treat the rupture, and then you continue with that. Wash your hands, disinfect everything, and then you continue with the service.
Now, which one is the one we have to take the clippers apart? And like this lice?
Yeah. Because they can get down inside the clippers.
Boy, that fissure.
How are you treating Fisher?
Yeah.
Like, and why would it be on somebody's head?
Yes, that don't look crusty. That's crusty.
Well, like I said, man, you will be surprised.
That's
Now,
like when you
but
get
that,
mechanics and stuff like that, you see a lot more.
but now fissure,
That's what I'm saying, like,
that's not gonna be in your head.
That's what I'm saying, like.
Yeah.
It says around the lips, like if you do a
Yeah.
shave or a mask or something.
I'll tell you, if
Yeah.
Somebody
somebody
lives that chap though.
Oh, yeah.
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 You're gonna, man, you're gonna see some stuff when you get.
Come on now.
You never seen nobody with no chap lip like that?
Come on now.
And-
Like that.
Yeah, the corners of their mouth is gonna have that type of skin, and it's gonna be puffed out like that.
Yeah, cause somebody got booty shit all still caked in their mouth.
You said what?
I know.
Nah.
Yeah, you gonna see
If it
people.
don't look safe, they not.
Y'all gonna see a little bit of
It's not like
everything.
blow up on the clippers.
Yes, as you get in the shop, you're gonna see
Every
every one of these conditions. You're gonna see. I
Now,
promise you.
Scale, what would you do for something like scale?
Some lotion on
For scale,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just cut around it and you try to oil it because I mean, it's excessive. I mean, it's gonna look like a ringworm, but you're gonna cut the hair, then you're going to moisturize it with some type of. First, you're gonna hit it with astringent, and then you're gonna moisturize it.
I ain't trying to be smart being for real. Why do we gotta moisturize it? Cause I mean, obviously they didn't take care of it. That's why it's like that now. I mean, so.
That's just part of our service.
That's right. And then you're gonna have clients. They're not gonna comb their hair till they come to the barber shop. They expect you to do it. They're not gonna put grease in their hair. Well, they don't need to put grease in their hair, but they don't care for their hair and scalp until they come to the barber shop. They expect you to do it.
Yeah, doctors, you know.
You're gonna see that.
Have you ever had to shampoo somebody's hair because it's just
Yes.
got too much stuff in it for you to cut
Yes.
your
How do you
clippers?
let them know that you wanna wash their hair for that reason?
Well, you just have a brief consultation with your client beforehand, before you get started, because with every haircut, you're gonna examine it and give the client a consultation and be like, ma'am, sir, I think it'll be best if I shampoo your hair before we do this service because you have XYZ condition, and shampooing it will make it easier and better for me to cut. And so I recommend you a shampoo.
Yeah, especially somebody that got a lot of grease in their hair.
Yeah, you don't wanna cut grease.
And you know, grease, you need a hot towel pretty much.
boy.
Yeah, but they ain't gonna get it at the scalp though.
So that's an upcharge, right?
Yes, sir.
And
That's a
so-
shampoo
so
charge
if
with the
they-
haircut.
So if they say, well, I don't really wanna pay the upcharge, I need a shampoo, then you know.
Well, they're
you
gonna,
don't cut.
they're gonna get the rules that I do in my barbershop.
Oh,
If
they
you got
don't
grease in your
cut.
hair, have your haircut come out, that's how it come out.
No, I'm saying like,
Now, turning over to page 234, discuss disorders of sebaceous and sudoriferous glands. There are several common disorders of the sebaceous oil glands that the barber should be able to understand and identify. An open comedo, known as a blackhead, is a hair follicle filled with keratin and sebum. Comedones appear most frequently on the face, especially in the T-zone, the center of the face. Y'all need to remember all of this. When the sebum of the comedo is exposed to the environment, it oxidizes and turns black. When the follicle is closed and not exposed to the environment, the sebum remains a white or cream color and is a closed comedo, also known as a whitehead, and appears as a small bump just under the skin surface. Milia are benign keratin-filled cysts that appear under the epidermis and have no visible opening. They resemble small sesame seeds and are almost always perfectly round. They are commonly associated with newborn babies but can appear on the skin of people of all ages. They are usually found around the eyes, cheeks, and forehead and appear small whitish mashes. Acne, also known as acne vulgaris, is a skin disorder characterized by chronic inflammation of the sebaceous glands for retained secretions. Boy, we got a good word right here. Propionibacterium, I got that. Acne occurs when obstructed follicles are deprived of oxygen, which allows acne bacteria to multiply. Fatty acids obtained from sebum in the follicle are the main food source for acne bacteria. The bacteria multiply, causing inflammation and swelling in the follicle and eventually rupture in the follicle wall. When the wall ruptures, the immune system causes blood to rush to the ruptured follicle, carrying white blood cells to fight the bacteria. An acne papule is the inflammatory acne lesion resulting from this rupture of the follicle wall and the infusion of blood. A pustule forms when the papule, when enough white blood cells accumulate to form pus, which is primarily composed of dead white blood cells. Acne conditions are rated in 4 grades. Grade 1, minor breakouts, mostly open comedones, some closed comedones, and a few papules and pustules. Grade 2, many closed comedones, more open comedones, and more papules and pustules. Grade 3, redness and inflammation with many papules and pustules. Grade 4, cysts and comedones, papules, pustules, and inflammation. A sebaceous cyst is a large protruding pocket-like lesion with sebum. Sebaceous cysts are frequently seen on the scalp and the back and may be surgically removed by a dermatologist. Seborrheic dermatitis, or seborrhea, is a skin condition caused by an inflammation of the sebaceous glands and is often characterized by redness, dry or oily scaling, crusting, and or itchiness. Excessive oiliness on the skin or scalp may indicate the presence of seborrhea. The red flaky skin often appears in the eyebrows and head, in the scalp and hairline at the middle of the forehead and along the side of the nose. Dandruff and cradle cap are forms of seborrheic dermatitis and that are sometimes created with topical creams. Rosacea, previously known as acne rosacea, is a chronic condition that appears primarily on the cheeks and nose. It is characterized by flushing, redness, here we go again, tanglioitis, tangliostasis, there we go. Distended or dilated surface blood vessels, and in some cases, the formation of papules and pustules. The cause of rosacea is unknown, but the condition is thought to be genetic. Certain factors are known to aggravate the condition in some individuals. These factors include exposure to heat, sun, and very cold weather, ingestion of spicy foods, caffeine and alcohol, and stress. Rosacea can be treated and kept under control by using medication prescribed by a physician, using proper skin care products designed especially for sensitive skin, and avoiding the aggravating flare factors listed above. Astiotosis is a condition of dry skin, scaly scalp, characterized by the absolute and partial deficiency of sebum. It can be the result of old age, exposure to cold or alkalis, or bodily disorders. Steatoma, a sebaceous cyst or fatty tumor that is filled with sebum. It is a subcutaneous tumor of the sebaceous glands that can range in size from a pea to an orange. Now that's big. A steatoma usually occurs on the scalp, neck, or back and is sometimes called a wen. Acne treatment. Minor forms of acne can be treated without medical referral. Following are the basics of acne treatment. Daily use of gentle cleansers formulated for a specific skin type. The use of harsh Again, I don't know. I'm struggling today with the video, but okay. Now, back to where we were. We're gonna start with under acne treatment again. Daily use of gentle cleansers formulated for a specific skin type. The use of harsh cleansers can make skin too dry, and sebaceous glands will generate more sebum, creating an even bigger problem. These foamy rinse-off products remove dirt, debris, and excess oil from the skin. Toners may be helpful for customers with excessively oily skin. Follicle exfoliants are leave-in products that help to remove cell buildup from the follicles, allowing oxygen to penetrate the follicles, killing bacteria. Commonly used ingredients in these products are alpha hydroxy acid, salicylic acid, and benzoyl peroxide. Benzoyl peroxide can be especially effective since it helps to shed cellular debris and also kills the acne bacteria. These products are generally not used all over because of their drying properties and are only used as a spot treatment. Clients should be warned about possible allergic reactions to these products and should stop using them if clients experience numbness in the area or swelling of the hands, feet, or mouth. Use of a light moisturizer to keep skin balanced and reduce the risk of excessive sebum production can be helpful. Identifying disorders of the sudoriferous glands. There are several disorders of the sudoriferous sweat glands that barbers should be able to identify and describe. Androsis, is a deficiency in perspiration or the inability to sweat, often a result of damage to autonomic nerves. This condition can be life-threatening and requires medical attention. Bromodosis results in foul-smelling perspiration, usually noticeable in the armpits or the feet. This condition is generally caused by bacteria. Severe cases require medical referral or just deodorant. Hyperhidrosis is characterized by excessive sweating caused by heat or general body weakness. This condition requires medical referral. Malaria rubra, also known as prickly heat, is an acute inflammatory disorder of the sweat glands characterized by the eruption of small red vesicles and accompanied by burning, itching skin. It is caused by exposure to excessive heat and usually clears in a short time without treatment. Recognizing common inflammations and infections of the skin. As a barber, you will need to be able to distinguish between non-contagious and contagious skin inflammations and infections. Dermatitis is a general term for the inflammatory condition of the skin. The lesions may appear in various forms such as vesicles and papules. Irritant contact dermatitis, abbreviated ICD, occurs when irritating substances such as chemicals or tints temporarily damage the epidermis. Unlike allergic contact dermatitis, irritant contact dermatitis is not usually chronic if precautions are taken, such as wearing gloves when working with chemicals. This condition is called dermatitis veneta. Eczema is an inflammatory skin disease that may be acute or chronic in nature and present in many forms of dry or moist lesions. Eczema is frequently accompanied by itching or burning and in all cases should be referred to a physician for treatment. Eczema is not contagious and its cause is unknown. Psoriasis is a chronic inflammatory skin disease characterized by the dry red patches covered with coarse silvery scales. Psoriasis usually occurs on the scalp, elbows, knees, chest, or lower back, but rarely on the face. If irritated, bleeding points can occur. It is not contagious and its cause is unknown. Herpes simplex 1 is a recurring viral infection that produces fever blisters or cold sores characterized by a single vesicule or group of vesicles with red swollen bases. The blisters usually appear on the lips, nostrils, or other parts of the face and rarely last more than a week. Herpes simplex 2 is caused by the same virus and designates occurrences between the wastes. Both forms of herpes complex are contagious and require medical treatment. Ivy dermatitis, the skin inflammation caused by exposure to poison ivy, poison oak, or poison sumac leaves. Blisters and itching develop soon after contact occurs. The condition may spread to other parts of the body by contact with contaminated hands, clothing, objects, or anything that was exposed to the plant itself. If the plant oil, which can be irritating, remains on the skin, it can also be spread from one person to another by direct contact. Serious cases can be referred to a physician. Okay, continuing on, recognize pigment disorders and hypertrophies of the skin. Barbers are often in a position to notice changes in a client's skin, and it is important to be able to differentiate between skin pigmentations and hypertrophies. For example, a flat mole may look like a dark freckle, but if you see a change in the color or growth of the mole, bring it to your client's attention for medical follow-up. Identify types of skin pigmentations. Skin pigment can be affected by internal factors such as hereditary or hormonal fluctuations, or by external factors such as prolonged exposure to the sun. Abnormal colorations known as dyschromias accompany skin disorders and are symptoms of many symptomatic disorders. A change in pigmentation can also be observed when certain medications are being taken because photosensitive reactions related to the use of certain antibiotics. The following conditions relate to changes in the pigmentation of the skin. Hyperpigmentation means darker than normal pigmentation appearing as dark splotches. Hypopigmentation is the absence of pigment resulting in light or white splotches. Moving right along. Albinism is congenital hypopigmentation or absence of melanin pigment in the body, including the skin, hair, and eyes. Hair is silky white, skin is pinkish white, and will not tan. The eyes are pink, and the skin is sensitive to light and ages early. Chlasma, also known as mask of pregnancy, is a condition characterized by hyperpigmentation on the skin and spots that are not elevated. They are generally caused by cumulative sun exposure, and can be helped by exfoliation or treated by a dermatologist. Lentigines, yes. Singular lentigo is the technical term for freckles, small yellow colored to brown colored spots on skin exposed to sunlight and air. It is also commonly referred to as liver spots in older adults, although there is no relationship to the liver. Leukodorma is a skin disorder characterized by light abnormal patches, hypopigmentation. It is caused by a burn, scar, inflammation, or congenital disease that destroys the pigment-producing cells. Examples are vitiligo and albinism, I meant to say. Nevus, also known as birthmark, is a small or large malformation of the skin due to abnormal pigmentation or dilated capillaries. Stain is an abnormal brown-colored or wine-colored skin discoloration with a circular or irregular shape. Its permanent color is due to the presence of darker pigment. Stains can present at birth or they can appear during aging, after certain diseases, or after disappearance of moles, freckles, and liver spots. The cause is often unknown. Tan is the change of pigmentation of skin caused by exposure to sun or ultraviolet light. Vitiligo is a hereditary condition that causes hypopigmented spots and splotches on the skin that often appear.
Okay.
All right. Did I finish that? Recent research, let me start over. Vitiligo is a hereditary condition that causes hypopigmented spots and splotches on the skin that often appear milky white. Recent research suggests that this disorder is part of autoimmune disease. Skin is. All right. We're recording again, and whoever's watching this video, please forgive us for all the technical difficulties today. I'm going to start again. Vitiligo.
It's over.
Vitiligo is a hereditary condition that causes hypopigmented spots and splotches on the skin and that often appear milky white. Recent researchers suggest that this disorder is part of an